early on,
Mm.
and you say you resist calling the structure a cabin. And
Oh.
which makes me laugh because I'm originally from Michigan, and we would call we call them cottages, and like there seems to be a divide between cabin and cottage and home or summer home, and I'm just kind of curious, like, one, why resist calling it a cabin? I mean, you say it in the book, but I'm just saying more about why you resist calling it a cabin, and then what do you make of how people refer to those in different ways? Like, is there, I don't know, if you're pushed to define a cabin versus a cottage versus a summer home versus a regular size house, what would you call those?
I'll tell you, I mean, there are people here in Minnesota um, who will invite you to their cabin, and when you get there, they're kind of palatial mansions. What? What is that? I mean, okay, they're living in a different world than I am. Yeah, it's an issue of semantics, but it's probably also a regional kind of issue. Um, you know, I affiliate um, the word cabin with Minnesota and Wisconsin. I just do. When I got here, um, and I'd been here for a little bit, we got invited to um, the cabins of three different families, and you know, uh, they were cabins. They were cabins. They were rustic, and the beams were exposed, such as they were. No insulation. This is the way it was, and uh, they were in some cases built on a slab, or um, maybe there was just a crawl space underneath them. Um, Mostly these cabins were on a lake of some sort. Um, there is this thing in Minnesota um, I found right away uh, that kind of expresses almost a religious um, quality, reverence for cabins. I'm going to my cabin this weekend. Um, we're going to have the cabin cast tonight on the forecast to let you know if it's a good weekend for you to go to the cabin. Well, of course, we all know that cabins are very rarely about enjoyment. They're about work, man. They're about you go to your cabin, you got to work. It's like owning a boat. You're always working on your damn boat. And so, but long story short, the cabin is what I affiliate with Minnesota and Wisconsin. Where I come from, um, in northeast uh, New England, um, I very very infrequently would the word cabin be used. Cottages, a cottage. I'm going to my cottage. Um, would be one way of putting it. Um, Beach house uh, is another way of expressing it. And beach house could be, and I remember my parents taking me to one of these down on the Cape Cod, um, right on uh, uh, beautiful beach at Truro, um, about as wide as this table. It's a tiny little place, surrounded with maybe a wooden platform large enough to put a couple of Adirondack chairs on. That's it. Um, so it's really a question of I think locale, so many words that we use to describe various kinds of things. in the Midwest as opposed to New England or wherever. Yeah, cottage. Um, yeah, like that. So
I think I always associate cabin with woods and cottage with lake. But yours is both. Yours is in the woods
mm,
and it's on the lake. Well, one of the very biggest lakes.
yeah,
And it's kind of an interesting blend
yeah,
of the two of those.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. What a lucky happenstance that was. I still remember the you know my persistence in buying the Sunday Trib and going through the classifieds and seeing if there was an ad there. It had the paper for the kind of cabin I was looking for on a lake. Who was I kidding? I mean, no way would anything that was worth any money at all would show up in the newspaper. It'd already be sold by the time it got to the paper, and yet on one Sunday, there it was. There it was. This little ad, um, rustic, um, unspoiled, um, on the cliffs of Lake Superior, 4.5 acres, um, views of um, Eagle and Sand Islands, with just a hint of the corner of Oak Island. Come on. Are you kidding? Somebody making this stuff up? And it's in the paper? The Sunday paper? Well, that was the place. And it was really cheap, and I don't understand why it was there or why it remained there while I was still dithering around trying to make an appointment to see it, but it worked out.